know what isn't sensory overload all the time always, but was just awesome for its entire 2-hour runtime, Mad Max Fury Road. So while we're still stuck on the figurative Fury Road of 2020, the Mad Maxiverse is going to be getting even bigger in the future, thanks to the announcement that the Vivitch and New Mutant star Anya Taylor-Joy will be playing Imperator Furiosa in a prequel about the fan favorite character that Charlize Theron played in Mad Max Fury Road. Now, also joining the cast of this movie are Chris Hemsworth and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, but nothing is known about their characters at this time. So my question to the panel is, what do you think about this casting and how do you hope her portrayal is different than what we saw Charlize do? So Keisha, let's start with you.
Okay, I am excited because first of all, Anna's from Miami and gotta represent Florida, always. But yeah, I'm really stoked about this cast. Chris Hemsworth, like who is, I don't know, Captain Australia now. And he's literally in everything, representing for the koalas out there. And and Yahya, our guy from, just everything you love right now. So yes, yeah. I'm very excited to see this cast do what they do, although we don't know what they're gonna do yet. So we'll see if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy is one of those actors who just, whenever you see her on the screen, she's a very striking person. Like when I think the first movie I saw her in was The Witch, and I was immediately like, you are going to be a superstar. This is like, there's no question about it. And like, clearly she's blowing up in a major way between a Netflix series with The Queen's Gambit and New Mutants and now this. But I'm curious, what do you hope that this story adds to the lore of what we've seen so far in Mad Max? Amy?
Ooh, that's the tricky question for me, because Furiosa's journey in Fury Road is perfect. And depending on where this movie needs to end, it's going to be real depressing. Yeah. But it's to me, I feel a similar way as I do about the casting, which is that like I would love to have it be Charlize again. I loved what she said about being kind of heartbroken, but I also agreed with her when she was like, I trust George Miller. I want to see what it is that he wants to do or tell. And then no one's coming to take my Fury Road away. It's a perfect movie, and I can watch it over and over again forever. And I hope that we get a worthy prequel. I hope it ends early enough before the beginning of the last one that it's not as horrifying as I imagine it, because obviously she has lived a life, and that life has its own adventures in it, just like Max has had all these different unconnected adventures. Rakutansky. So I hope it's kind of distant past in that sense. I hope it doesn't disrupt too much of what the story is in my head, but I keep reminding myself that no one's taking away my Fury Road. So,
yeah, I think that's an important perspective, and it was something that like it felt like a very prevalent sentiment, even like 5-10 years ago when this current like spate of aggressive reboots started up, and people were like, "Oh, this person's ruining my childhood by taking the thing I love and doing it different." And now this is, unless you were a child in 2015, in which case, please go to school. You should be learning. You should not be watching this show right now.
Dan.
I think go to virtual school. Click out of this Zoom. Go to a different Zoom. But like, I think that especially knowing how much world building that George Miller and company did for Fury Road, like just thousands and thousands of pages of world building. I'm excited to see what led to the events of Fury Road, but as you mentioned, Amy, I hope it doesn't quite end on such a bummer of a note as Fury Road begins on. But I'm curious, Eric, what do you hope to see from this movie, and how do you think it can enhance what we saw in Fury Road?
I kind of hope it doesn't have that much to do with Fury Road. I hope it's like what Amy said. I hope it's far enough away in the past that it's really like a kind of a separate adventure. Like I kind of am done with the Morton Joe. Like, it's just like, he's gross enough for one movie. I don't need any more. I mean, I feel like the obvious thing is going to be, this is how she lost her arm, and we're going to get that thing. But I hope it's more than that. I really hope it is the Mad Max formula of this is like a separate adventure of just stuff that happened. And maybe there's a little tease that ties into Fury Road, but I kind of feel like she's lived a life, like they said, and it doesn't need to have that much to do with it. Especially since she's so much younger. So this could be a completely new story just with that character. And that's kind of what I'm hoping. I haven't seen Anya Taylor-Joy in more than, I saw her in The Witch and I saw her in Split, so I don't have any New Mutants or like, that's what I've seen her in. And she seems like she could do a good job, but Charlize, those are big boots to fill. Like, I do not envy what she's got to do, but I look forward to it. You know?
Yeah, especially after hearing what a kind of harrowing and grueling shoot Fury Road was.
Yeah.
Something tells me this will be maybe less aggressive because they won't need to be in like the Namibia desert, like doing all
No.
these crazy ass stunts. But I'm sure there's still going to be plenty of practical mayhem and madness to come. And I think you also touched on a good point, which is that this movie does not need to be the Fury on-ramp. It can just be its own thing about Furiosa. Like, she has lived this life, and like, how did she become like the leader of like of all the badass people in Immortan Joe's disgusting brigade of badass people? How did she become like the go-to? You know, he's done such a good job of building this world out. I'm curious as well if we're going to see other characters that we saw in Fury Road, like maybe a younger version of the Volvolini, for example, like this badass group of like old lady snipers who were maybe younger lady snipers back then. So I'm very excited to see what they have coming down the pipeline there. But with that said, any idea or hopes for who someone like Chris Hemsworth or Yahya Abdul-Mateen II might be playing? Amy?
Ooh, I want it to be a surprise. I that's my hope is like totally different part of the world. Our characters original to this. We have no idea if they live or die or how they change each other on the way. Like, that's what I want. Total mystery. Obviously, those actors are incredible. So I can't wait to see what we get.
Yeah, I think that's also good. Like, you want it to feel connected to this universe, but not like, oh, that's Dad Max in a couple years. His son is going to grow up and have a bad time when his family gets married. Oh, anyway.